Lancaster Court, just off of Oxford Street, is the Handel and Hendrix Museum. In the 1700s, the music composer Handel lived at 23 Brook Street, and Jimi Hendrix in the 60s lived at 25 Brook Street. So to celebrate both of these huge influences on music in the UK, they have combined the two places together to make the Handel and Hendrix Museum. If you go inside, you'll learn a lot about both musicians, as well as get to walk through Handel's recreation of his house, and also get to see a recreation of Hendrix's room when he lived here as well. If you're into fashion and design, I recommend visiting the Fashion and Textile Museum in Bermondsey. It was founded by the iconic British designer Zandra Rhodes, and there are no permanent exhibitions here. They change them out every few weeks, so you can actually come to visit multiple times and you'll see completely different exhibitions. They also put on workshops, so you should check their website for your travel dates to see if there's anything that you'd like to attend. The Museum of Brands and Packaging might sound like it could be a little bit dull, but it's actually super interesting. So when you come in, you take a walk through their tunnel of time where you learn all about British history, but in a really unique way by seeing the types of design packaging. You learn about pop culture, how people dressed during these different eras, and it's actually really interesting. Plus, they have an award-winning cafe and garden that you can visit once you're done browsing. Every time that there's a big royal event in British history, brands always put out these special memorabilia pieces of these cake tins and different products and things like that. And you can see a bunch of those from the last century in this museum. For example, this is a bunch of examples of those from the coronation of Queen Elizabeth in 1953. Gardens are a huge point of pride in the UK and have been for centuries. This garden museum was actually created in 1977 in an effort to save the church where John Transcendent is buried, and he was Britain's first plant hunter and most famous gardener. You can come into the museum and there's tons of history about gardening throughout the centuries. There's loads to see. It's also very kid-friendly. And when you're done exploring, you can go and have something to eat at the Garden Cafe. Leighton House Museum in Holland Park, and this was the former home of a very famous painter from the 1800s named Leighton. And the house itself is absolutely stunning, but inside there's also a very impressive collection of artworks by Leighton, but also by his contemporaries, so it is definitely worth a visit. If you're interested in buildings and architecture, then you should definitely stop into the NLA. They do workshops and talks, so you can see if there's anything happening that might interest you when you're visiting London. But in the least, you should come in and see the London model. And it is a small-scale 3D printed model of the City of London, and it shows you both buildings that already exist, as well as ones that are being completed or are going to be completed in the future. So you see a very futuristic version of what the London skyline will look like. It's also an interactive digital map that shows you a bunch of different data points about the City of London, including the average housing prices in each borough, the amount of air pollution that's happening, and also where all of the listed buildings are throughout the city.